What if the reason your relationship ended wasn't because you weren't enough, but because life was trying to show you something deeper about yourself? What if every argument, every silence, and every heartbreak was actually a mirror reflecting the parts of you you've been ignoring? What if the pain you feel today is not a punishment, but a guide, pushing you to see your worth, your strength, and your capacity to love in a way that doesn't compromise who you are? What if letting go isn't losing, but gaining? A chance to reclaim your happiness, to rediscover your purpose, and to open your heart to a future you never imagined possible. What if every ending is secretly a beginning, every tear a lesson, and every memory a teacher leading you to the life you're meant to live? Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you the hidden truths behind the end of a relationship, and why this heartbreak might just be the most important gift you'll ever receive. What if the end of your relationship wasn't someone else's choice, but a mirror reflecting your own truths that you were too busy to see? What if every argument, every silence, every tear wasn't just about them, but about you, your fears, your insecurities, the patterns you carried without even realizing? The truth is, most of us spend years blaming the other person, replaying moments in our heads. We begin to recognize patterns, make choices consciously, and prepare for a future where love doesn't demand we lose ourselves, but celebrates who we truly are. What if the reason your relationship ended wasn't because of betrayal, distance, or lack of love, but because the invisible contract of expectations was broken? What if all those unspoken hopes, assumptions, and dreams you carried quietly in your heart were quietly shaping a reality that could never exist? We often enter relationships believing that love will automatically meet all our needs, that the person we cherish will know exactly how to act, what to say, and how to love us perfectly. But what if expecting someone to read our minds was setting both of us up for heartbreak? Expectations are powerful, but they can also be dangerous. They create invisible walls, limits on people we love, and rules that no one agreed to. When reality doesn't align with the vision we built in our heads, frustration and disappointment emerge. Every unmet expectation feels like rejection. Every small misstep becomes magnified, and before we know it, we are living in a story that never truly existed. What if we realized that the ending was not a failure, but a misalignment? What if the relationship wasn't about being wrong or being right, but about discovering that two hearts, no matter how deeply connected, sometimes travel different paths? Expectations are not inherently bad, but when they are unspoken or unrealistic, they become silent architects of heartbreak. They whisper in moments of quiet anger, remind us of the should-haves and could-haves, and distort the love that was real into a story of loss. What if every disappointment in love was actually a lesson in understanding reality? Yours, theirs, and the delicate space in between? By reflecting on our expectations, we begin to see where we demanded too much, where we assumed too much, and where our vision of love was clouded by desire instead of truth. The end of the relationship, painful as it is, becomes not a condemnation but a revelation. It teaches us that love is not about fulfilling every expectation, but about embracing the imperfections, learning to communicate, and knowing when a connection serves growth and when it hinders it. What if letting go of unmet expectations is the very key to experiencing love that is freer, truer, and more aligned with reality than anything we ever imagined? What if the reason your relationship ended wasn't because love disappeared, but because words were left unspoken, feelings were misunderstood, and silence became louder than any conversation? What if all the late-night arguments, the awkward pauses, and the tiny disagreements weren't the real problem, but the way you both failed to truly hear each other? Most of us think love is enough to carry a relationship, but what if love without understanding is like a ship without a rudder, drifting aimlessly until the storm hits? Communication is not just about speaking. It's about revealing your heart and being brave enough to listen without judgment. And yet in most relationships, fear sneaks in. Fear of being rejected, fear of being misunderstood, fear of saying the wrong thing. So we hide behind words carefully chosen, smiles that mask hurt, and gestures that are polite but distant. What if those small silences, those unsaid truths, were actually the seeds of the ending? Misunderstanding is a quiet thief. It takes small moments, an offhand comment, a misread tone, a forgotten promise, and inflates them into mountains of resentment. We start to imagine the worst, replay scenarios in our minds, and paint pictures of betrayal where there may have been none. What if, instead of assuming the worst, we had paused, asked, and truly listened? What if we had the courage to say, "I feel this way," and the humility to respond, "I hear you"? Relationships are not broken by the absence of love, but by the absence of clarity. Misunderstanding creates a version of reality that never existed. A narrative where two hearts become strangers in the same room. What if the ending was less about a lack of affection and more about a lack of connection? A connection that could have been saved by honest conversation and vulnerability. What if every unresolved argument, every misunderstanding, every miscommunication was actually a mirror showing you how vital it is to express, to listen, and to bridge the invisible gaps between hearts before silence turns into goodbye? What if learning to communicate could have turned endings into new beginnings and misunderstandings into deeper understanding, making love not just a feeling but a conscious practice every single day? What if holding on was actually the thing keeping you from truly living? What if every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of replaying the past was not proving your love, but quietly chaining you to a story that no longer served you? Most of us believe that letting go means giving up, but what if letting go is actually the most courageous act of love, not just for them, but for yourself? Holding on feels safe at first. We clutch memories like lifelines, repeat old arguments in our minds, and convince ourselves that the pain will eventually turn into reconciliation. But what if, in truth, holding on only prolongs the suffering, blurs clarity, and steals the chance to meet the life waiting for us on the other side? What if the relationship ended not to punish you, but to teach you the sacred art of release, the art of knowing that some chapters must close so the next one can open? Letting go is not forgetting. It is not erasing the love that existed. It is honoring it. It is saying, I loved, I gave, I learned, and now I trust that life has something better for me. What if the moment you let go, you finally feel the weight lift off your chest, the cloud of confusion clearing, and a new clarity emerging? Pain becomes temporary when it is accepted, when it is met with courage rather than resistance. What if holding on to someone who is no longer meant to be in your life was actually blocking you from discovering who you are, what you need, and what love you deserve? Letting go is a declaration of self-respect. It is choosing growth over comfort, freedom over fear, and truth over illusion. It teaches you that endings are not failures. They are gifts in disguise, pushing you toward a path that aligns with your soul. What if the heartbreak you feel now is actually an invitation to rebuild, to rediscover, and to step into a life where love is not desperate or desperate for approval, but abundant, nurturing, and mutual? What if letting go doesn't close doors, but opens them wider than you ever imagined, allowing you to find peace, strength, and a love that truly honors your heart? What if the end of your relationship wasn't the end of love, but the beginning of a journey you were never prepared for? What if every tear you shed, every sleepless night, every moment of heartbreak was secretly shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, and more aware than you've ever been? Most of us view endings as failures, but what if the truth is that endings are the most powerful teachers we will ever have? Growth is never comfortable. It demands that we look at ourselves without excuses, without blame, and without illusions. What if the arguments you had, the misunderstandings, and even the quiet moments of drifting apart were actually lessons in patience, empathy, and understanding? What if the love that ended was not wasted, but a mirror reflecting parts of yourself that you needed to see? The fears you ignored, the boundaries you failed to set, the patterns you repeated without noticing. Every ending has a hidden curriculum. Pain teaches resilience. Heartbreak teaches clarity. Loss teaches gratitude. What if, instead of seeing the relationship as a closed door, you saw it as a teacher guiding you toward the life and love you truly deserve? What if the person you were before the ending could never have handled the wisdom that comes from experiencing it fully? Learning from a breakup isn't about dwelling on the past or blaming yourself or anyone else. It's about extracting the truths that will transform your future. What if each mistake, each disappointment, and each regret was actually a seed planting a better version of you, someone capable of deeper love, stronger boundaries, and authentic connection? What if growth means embracing the discomfort, understanding the lessons, and allowing yourself to evolve beyond the relationship that once defined you? What if the heartbreak you're feeling right now is not a punishment but a carefully designed invitation from life to become more than you were yesterday? Every ending, no matter how painful, carries a gift, the chance to learn who you are, to reclaim your power, and to step into a life of purpose, clarity, and love that doesn't rely on anyone else's validation. What if you realized that the truth behind every lost love is not that it failed, but that it prepared you for the life, the love, and the person you were always meant to become? What if the end of your relationship wasn't a dead end, but a detour to something greater? What if every heartbreak, every tear, and every sleepless night was not a punishment, but an invitation to step into a life filled with possibilities you couldn't see before? Most of us think that when love ends, the story is over. But what if the ending was actually the beginning of a journey toward hope, clarity, and a stronger, wiser version of ourselves? Hope is not naive. It is brave. It is the quiet voice that whispers in the middle of your pain, reminding you that the darkest nights create the brightest stars. What if the person you are becoming after this heartbreak is more capable of love, more resilient, and more in tune with yourself than you were before? Every ending teaches you that life continues, that love is not lost forever, and that joy can be found again if you dare to believe in new beginnings. Moving forward doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean erasing memories or pretending the pain never existed. What if moving forward means embracing the lessons, cherishing the growth, and allowing yourself to rise from the ashes of a relationship that taught you what you deserve and what you won't settle for again? Each step forward is a declaration that your life is bigger than this one chapter, that your heart is capable of healing, and that your future holds love, happiness, and fulfillment you may not yet have imagined. What if the fear of being alone has been the very thing holding you back from discovering your own strength, your passions, and the peace that comes from trusting life's timing? Hope is the bridge between endings and beginnings. It is the courage to say, I survived this and I will thrive. What if the heartbreak you feel today is actually the preparation for a love and a life that matches your soul's deepest desires? What if you realize that the end was never about losing someone, but about finding yourself, your strength, your clarity, and your vision for a life filled with purpose, love, and endless possibilities? Hope whispers that the next chapter is yours to write, and moving forward is your pen in hand, ready to create a story far more beautiful than you ever imagined. As we reflect on the journey through love, heartbreak, and self-discovery, one truth becomes clear: endings are never the final chapter. They're the quiet teachers guiding us toward growth, clarity, and the life we were always meant to live. Every tear, every misunderstanding, every unmet expectation has shaped you, strengthened you, and prepared you for a future where love is deeper, wiser, and more aligned with who you truly are. Remember, the pain you feel today is not a mark of failure, but a symbol of courage. It shows that you dared to love, to feel, and to open your heart fully. And in that courage lies your power, the power to heal, the power to learn, the power to rise. The end of a relationship is not a loss. It is a beginning disguised as an ending. It is an opportunity to rediscover yourself, to embrace hope, and to step into a future where joy, peace, and love flow freely. So take this moment, carry the lessons, and trust yourself. Trust that the journey continues, that the universe is aligning the right people, opportunities, and experiences for you, and that every ending is setting the stage for a beautiful new beginning. Good luck on this journey of self-discovery and growth. May you find clarity in your heart, strength in your soul, and love that honors the person you become. Thank you for listening, for reflecting, and for embracing the truth behind your story. Your path forward is yours to create, and it is brighter than you imagine.